So I wanted to talk about this ugly word called patriarchy. A word that, one, we don't hear men mention often, right? We like to use language of sexism or misogyny, but patriarchy is really what undergirds it. So I want to kind of open with a quote by Bell Hooks. And she defines feminism as a movement that will challenge, change, and ultimately end patriarchy. So you guessed it, I'm talking about patriarchy. And I think it's important that we name that it is patriarchy, and that it is something that is not only actively trying to destroy women, but trying to destroy men also, even if we understand that or not. So as we talk about this, I want to use myself as the instrument or as the tool of a man who sometimes advocates for gender equality, for equity, because I want praise. And it's not a part of my actual purpose. And I think it's important that we're able to call men in who are advocating for gender equality because we're doing it for praise and it's not actually embedded in our purpose. So I was at an event recently, and it was an event about this idea that men should be more open and loud about gender equality. And I was like, yes, yes, yes. And the male speaker's like, we're not here to give men pats on the back, and it made me smile. But then he said something that was really sinister. He said, women, you all will run the world soon, but when you do, don't forget I was one of the good guys. So you all picked up on that too, right? He missed it. We miss it often, right? Because in his mind that when you run the world, you will now turn the sword over on men and punish us. Right? That's patriarchal thinking. So we as men oftentimes don't realize that when we're up here screaming loudly for gender equality, we're actually hoping that you turn that around and give us praise and call us good guys. And we'll kind of dig into that term good guy for a second too. So my goal of telling that story is not to shame anyone, but it's to really highlight how patriarchy is sinister. It's seductive, and it's constantly changing. So if you hear men like me using some patriarchal thinking as we're talking about gender equality, do like my grandma says and set them straight. So now I'm going to get myself into a little bit of trouble here, all right? So how many of you have heard men say, after I had a daughter, I became an advocate for gender equality? And we thought that was cool, right? Because basically what he's saying is that you have to, again, wait until men have a child, and that child be a daughter for us to start advocating for gender equality. Damn. Because all of the relationships that men have had with women, if we had a sister, if we had a mother, if we had a wife, none of that meant anything. Actually, it was when we had a daughter and we wanted to protect her. Patriarchy. It's seductive. It moves, it morphs into so many different things because we men have been taught that we are to be a provider, a protector. That's what patriarchy says. So when we say, I had a daughter and now I'm going to fight for gender equality, what I'm really saying is I'm going to protect my daughter. I'm going to protect my daughter. Patriarchy. So what is emotional labor for men? Emotional labor is having vulnerable, hard, compassionate, meaningful conversations with all people. It means sitting in spaces of shared intimacy with other men and talking about how we are lonely, how we are sad, how we are confused, how we want to divest in systems of patriarchy, but we actually don't know how because it benefits us and at the same time, it's killing us.